Hello, hello, I'm Tracy Pierce. Thanks for joining me for this free mini animal communication session. So I think we're up to at least 50 of these sessions that I've done so far. You can check them out on my YouTube channel. I've recorded most, I think actually all of them if you're interested to listen back in. But the idea for this series was really born out of what was happening here in the United States during the coronavirus when it first started to show up back in March and April, when things were going into lockdown. And, things around me just seemed so different. And I really wondered what the animals were thinking about all of this. And so I kept tuning in, and my animal friends were like, Tracy, you have to do this video series. So I did it every day for, I don't know, about 4 or 6 weeks. And now I'm continuing just doing a couple or 3 per week. And a lot of animals show up. And this last month or two, I've really been focusing more on wild animals that just kind of show up in my life. And so today we're going to continue that trend. Let me show you the picture of the little ant friend we're going to talk to today. So yeah, this was an ant. This is my friend of mine's hand. We were out for a walk, and this ant was just crawling all over her. And when it comes to interviewing these wild animals, how it works is basically I'm just kind of walking around outside and holding the question up into the ethers, if you will. Are there any animals that would like to share their wisdom with us? And if yes, please present yourself for a picture. So this ant was very insistent upon taking its picture and wanted to share some wisdom with us here. So, oh yeah, let me pull up the chat here. If you're joining us live and you have questions for this ant that you would like asked, just look at the Zoom bar on the bottom there. There should be a button that says chat. Just click on that and type in any questions you might have for the ant. So I'm just going to get quiet and start tuning into this ant to see what would they like to share with us today. So immediately what I feel come forward is this, it feels like a burst of excitement. I feel it in the heart. There's kind of just this burst, and I feel this very active energy. It feels very similar to like when you're looking at a group of ants and they're moving very, very quickly, it seems like. What would you like for us to know about you, or what do you want to tell us today, little ant friend? It's showing there is so much wisdom in an ant colony, and it keeps pointing to the speed at which ants move. Can you say more about that? So it's showing, I feel like it's showing me the ant colony's communication style. And what it's showing me is it's showing me like this whole big group of ants. And it's almost like there's waves or vibrations that are just spreading out through the whole colony. Is there like a particular ant that's giving the marching orders or sending out these waves? Or can you tell us more about how it works? So the way it's showing it to me, it almost reminds me of what a human or like a mammal nervous system might look like, where there's the brain as the central kind of sending out orders place. Is kind of equating that with like a queen ant, showing how that queen ant is really plugged into this neural pathway. It really feels like a neural pathway the way it's showing it to me. And it's like that ant is sending out the orders, and it just kind of ripples out. And it's not like it's words is what the ant is saying. It's more like he's equating it to like receiving an envelope in the mail, like it's like packaged up set of orders, and we're able to understand it. It's not like we have to open up the envelope and read the whole orders. We're just able to immediately interpret. Yeah, it kind of sent, like the way you say that, it reminds me very much of, again, the nervous system, where it's like the brain sends out the signal, and maybe it can't be translated into words, but the body parts know just to do that. Is there more that you want to tell us about that? It's showing me there's a lot of, it feels like precision in what's happening. It's showing, you know, as a human, we might look down on an anthill and it seems very chaotic, like, oh, all these ants moving here. To our brains, it may look like it's just chaos happening, but the ant says it's actually quite precise. Everything that's happening, all the movements of the ants, there's almost a sense of the individual ants being part of a greater whole, which I think is what you're really showing before, like the individual ants being part of a nervous system, kind of. Is there more? Is there something that you feel like we as humans could learn from this precision, or the way ant colonies are organized? So it is showing, ants are very, very different from humans. As they're working and doing, the ants are working and doing things together. Their whole concern is about the greater colony. Will the colony survive? And is what I'm doing actually going to serve the colony? Whereas it's showing humans don't have that central commitment to a colony necessarily. It feels very fragmented, what he's showing me. It's almost like, so humans are part of these different groups, but there's nothing that really connects them as a whole. And it's showing that our social situation and our mobility situation is much different from the ant as well, where, in an ant colony, they kind of all stay together, and at some point maybe they're going to come across another ant colony, but they just kind of stay separate from each other. Whereas all these different kinds of humans are always intersecting with each other, intermingling with each other. And yeah, there's no central thing that holds humanity together in the same way as what the ant is saying. There's no preciseness. There's no, humans have evolved more to believe their individuality is more important. It's saying, like, just look at the situation in the US with masks. Like, people are saying it's an infringement on their personal rights, whether, like the consideration of whether it is for the good of the greater colony is just like out of some people's perception or awareness, like their individual freedom is much more important to them. And he says ants just see that in a very different way. Like, everything is for the colony when it comes to an ant. Okay, so we've got a question for you here. Please ask if there's a humane way to convince ants to leave my kitchen. We have times when we are overrun and I hate to kill them. So I'm getting some smells, and these are old ant remedies that I personally know, but this ant is saying they can be really effective. It's saying it depends on how actually overrun your kitchen might be, but what it's showing is cinnamon, like putting cinnamon around the areas where you think the ants might be coming in, or it's showing like, for some reason it's showing me under the sink, and like putting a layer of cinnamon just kind of around the edges there. It says we don't like the smell of cinnamon. It's also showing me peppermint oil, that same thing, like along the areas where the ants might be coming in. It's also saying that especially the peppermint can be effective, you know, because the ants leave the trails, like this, the scented, I think they're pheromones, I'm not sure, but those trails where they just keep coming in because they can smell the scent. It's saying that the peppermint can be a good one to help eliminate that trail smell for the ants. It is saying that that may not be effective for, like, if you have a really big ant infestation, that sometimes the only way is like a pesticide. He's not encouraging you to do that, but necessarily, but is saying that if it's a big infestation, it's going to take more than cinnamon and peppermint to get rid of it for sure. Do you feel like there's something that ants are really attracted to in people's homes, or is it like a certain energy or food or something like that? For some reason, it's really showing me wood, like kind of a little bit of a rotting wood kind of smell is what I'm getting. It's not a pleasant smell to me. So it's like, yeah, there is a certain level of, sometimes they look for areas where there's water damage. It makes it easier to get in, is what it's saying. So, okay, yeah, I was asking again, is there something about like a human, what they're doing, that maybe attracts them in? He says, no, there are so many different reasons that ants will come into a house, you know, for shelter, for food, for, you know, I'm not really sure what ants eat, but it does feel like there's something about that wet or slightly rotted wood that they like or eat, or they're attracted to that for sure. Yeah, showing any kind of water damage. It's like, it's not just an ant thing. The water can attract all different kinds of insects, termites, those kind of things. So if you want to keep bugs out of your house, he's really encouraging you to watch um, where the water damage kind of areas are, and what's going on in those areas. It's saying, yeah, the cinnamon and peppermint are going to work a little bit better, more as a preventative. But if it's a smaller infestation of ants, it's possible you might be able to get rid of them that way. Thanks so much. All right, our little ant friend, I feel like you had a lot to share with us. Is there more that we haven't touched into yet? So it's coming back to the colony thing a little bit here. I feel like you're trying to show me something as it relates to humans. The question comes to mind, like, do you feel that if, as humans, we were more connected to a colony, or perhaps more, you know, more ancient human history where we were more tribal? It's like, well, yeah, things were definitely, in his opinion, in this ant's opinion, better environmentally when humans were like that. But, you know, there's no going back to that, is what it's saying. We've become so globalized that there's this new level of learning, and it's saying, I don't know that the ants necessarily can provide the best framework for humans, but it is showing how, like, kind of equating colonies to different kinds of human communities that we have. So I keep feeling something about the precision element here. Do you feel like our human colonies or our human communities that we have maybe need to have more precision in how they're executed or done? Or is that what you're trying to show me? Is there more? You're saying, well, human communities come together for a lot of different reasons. Some come together for action, to do things. You know, some come together to support each other. Um, I guess what he's showing me is, you know, since individual humans are part of different, you know, parts of different kinds of communities, it's not like, well, humans are part of all one community. He's asking for more precision with um, we as humans in which communities we are choosing to be a part of. Is there more to that? I feel like, you know, you've given me a few things to think about. I feel some thoughts rolling around in my head when you say that, but I wonder if there's more to that. Showing how some humans are just kind of out there, they're willy-nilly in this group and that group, and um, it's kind of showing me like memories of when I was in high school. Let's say I was in so many different kinds of groups, and you know, when we're that teenage age, that's great to, you know, check out all these different groups and see what we're interested in. But as we get older, there's a level of calling for more precision, like being, he's saying you could even consider this like a time management thing, where we need to be more carefully aware of the activities that we're involved in, the communities we're involved in. Um, it's showing like technology has sped up so much, and there's globalization, and we have so many different choices about so many different things that it's just asking us to be more precise with our groups that we're picking, asking ourselves, does this really support what I want to do? Does this really support and nourish me? Do I feel good after leaving this group? Or do I just kind of feel blah and don't care? Um, is there more to that? This, and it's really interesting. I get the sense that it thinks very, very quickly. Like as I'm tuning into it, I feel just this massive amount of information kind of like flowing through, but it doesn't always translate into words. So I just feel like this ant is kind of like very Uranian and fast thinking. Um, am I catching everything you're saying, or am I translating it correctly? Let's put it that way, maybe. Said, you're catching a lot of it, like you're not as fast as some people are. Okay, I'll brush up on my Uranian skills, I guess. Yeah, he says, I am trying to kind of give you a glimpse of how our colony is communicating with each other, just like feeling that rush of information in the packets. And he said, I'm trying to kind of wave it at you in the same way that it would be rushing through our colony in a way. Wow, it'd be really cool if humans could communicate like that. It says, well, yes, but there's a limit because it's like we don't know how to control it. It's like if somebody figures out how to do this to all the humans, it would be like showing me like an episode of Futurama where like even in your dreams commercials come in, you know, kind of thing. It could be a marketer's dream come true, but everybody who's being marketed to, it's like their nightmare. Okay, yeah, it's true. Do you feel like we as humans can learn to do that, or is it even helpful to do that? Well, he's showing me a couple people in my life who I feel like I really can do that. Like it's almost like I can just energetically point to something and they understand me. He's like your little group, like you kind of have he's showing it's like a different level of telepathy. Um, and you're able to do that. And so, yeah, humans might be able to do that on a smaller level with people they're really close to, but developing it on a larger scale, um, he's not really. It's not the ant's not really sure if that's such a great idea. All right, I will keep that in mind. Anything else you want to share with us before we wrap up our session here today? So encouraging anybody who's feeling down or depressed or feeling like, gosh, I'm just too small to make a difference, to really tune into the energy of the ant. Because ants are like, he's showing me like the strong man symbol, like flexing muscles. Like ants are so amazing and strong, and they're so tiny. So think about like if an ant so tiny can do all these amazing things. Like he feels like tuning into ants can really give some of us who may feel depressed or down on our luck or something, can really give us a lot of hope. And yeah, that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that. I really feel like I'm catching what you're passing. All right, so thank you, little ant friend, for being here and sharing your wisdom with us here today. And thanks to all of you who joined me live and those of you watching the replay. I really appreciate you checking in and submitting your questions and joining me here. These sessions have been so fun for me to do, and I'm so happy to share them with you. I hope you'll join us again sometime. And until next time, take care and be well.